Tonight, 26 Fulani headsmen and more than 600 cattle reportedly killed in the last 6 months. The Council of Fulani Chiefs has announced, accusing members of the security agencies of conniving with locals to visit mayhem on nomads.
Now it is the soldiers who are going in the push, killing the animals and taking them away. Somebody's livelihood. Somebody who has taken years, prepared his livelihood.
In the Volta region, police have arrested 3 people in connection with the murder of an assemblyman at Segakofe that sparked riots there this week.
What we decided to do is to rebuild the metal barrier for it to be closed. We are going to put speed ramps for the police to act quickly.
We'll bring you details as the South Tongue District Assembly announces measures to deal with security concerns in the area. Also tonight, Sanitation Minister tells Parliament government is working to make Accra clean and avoid the perennial flooding that hits the city every time it rains. But the minority says nothing is happening.
Our gutters are choked. 3 days ago when it rained, we all saw what happened in our gutters.
And still in Parliament, the majority leader is cautioning MPs to desist from using mobile phones on the floor, saying its use will be banned soon. But his colleagues say he's guilty of the practice himself.
There are established parliaments in the world who do not allow members to come to Parliament themselves.
He himself, on several occasions, he's been receiving calls and making calls when he's in the chamber. I think somebody should remind him that we are not school children.
And in business, English and French-speaking bloc in ECOWAS clash on roadmap for introduction of the ECO, forcing the governors and finance minister to defer decision to heads of state.
And after weeks of debate on why Kotoko skipper Felix Annan has been dropped to the bench for Kwame Ban, Coach Maxwell Knodu has finally explained. Join me in 54 details.
Also on tonight's show, President Akufo-Addo presents fresh justification for the controversial construction of the National Cathedral, arguing God has in many instances saved the country from crisis.
Ghana has so far been spared civil war, famine, and epidemics. But I believe it is by the grace of God that we are being preserved and sustained.
And I have no knowledge of how Bitcoin works. Music legend Kojo Ntwi rubbishes online marketing fraud website that is using an alleged interview on Joy News to dupe Ghanaians.
We have not received the full complement of the funding required. However, we have achieved more than 2/3 of.
On flip side tonight, newly appointed Black Stars coach Siki Akono shows the way on what to do when you get a pronunciation wrong.
Jordan Ayew, Crystal Palace, Crystal Paris, Ole. Crystal Paris, Ole.
Stay with us. Join me with your views on WhatsApp 0244340437. My name is Evans Mensah. Details now. Now, the Council of Fulani Chiefs in Ghana say about 26 of its members have been killed in various attacks by locals as well as members of the security agencies in the last 6 months alone. Now, the council also says more than 600 of its own cattle owned by nomads have also been killed in areas including the Savannah, Bono East, Northeast, Upper West and Eastern regions. After months of what they describe as unfair treatment and discrimination, the leaders of the Fulani headsmen are demanding justice and protection against attackers. Meanwhile, they are accusing security personnel under the Operation Cowleg of conniving with attackers. Here is Secretary of the Tabital Baliku International, Ghana, Yakubu Musabari.
When they murder any headsman and you report at the police, even if they arrest the person, 2 days, the person will even come out threatening even the Fulani man again. So this is a major concern. It's a security because they are pushing the Fulani. We have been talking to our people. Over 2 years now this thing is happening. I've started from August last year, 2019 to date. They have killed 26 headsmen. I think the security are meant to protect life and property. And this is the issue that now the security are even attacking with the Fulanis. Killing our animals, killing the headsmen and taking away the animals alone. After killing the animals, they take them away. So we feel it's a complete robbery to our people. So we are now coming to call on the president to intervene, being the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, because now it is the soldiers who are going in the push, killing the animals and taking them away. Somebody's livelihood, somebody who has taken years, prepared his livelihood.
They've been giving further details about the attacks and how it happened.
Bagurugu issue, what happened was that a farmer claimed that cattle came to destroy his farm. When we got there the next day morning, it was only one cow foot that we saw in the farm. Only one that went to destroy his farm. And then he went and over the whole youth and came and vandalized 65 homes in Bagurugu. We went there, we saw smokes were still burning in the rooms. Animals were still burnt down. People, over 200 people, farm children, and all their birth certificates, health insurance, everything has been burnt to ashes. Secondly, there's a child who was, murdered recently in water. One farmer. We went there. This boy was still lying down in the water lake. I mean, it's so pathetic. We have to go there with the police, bring out the body, bring doctors to come and do postmortem for him to be released to us so that we can bury him. There are incidents that happened in Kintampoka Wampe area where we went. We saw about 4 Fulanis lying down dead. Animals did not destroy anybody's farm. Why should this be happening? We tell the police will say they will do investigation, and even some of the Fulanis do identify the people, but police doesn't do any arrest. As I'm talking to you now, the people in Bagurugu are still walking free.
Well, I want to bring in security analyst Prosper Ni Norte Ado joins us on the telephone line right now. Thank you, sir, for your time here on News. Now, you hear the concerns that you have there. We know this has been a running battle. We formed a security team to try and deal with this problem. Now we're hearing that the Fulanese, as the complaints have gone, 26 of their members have died, and there is a subtle warning there that as we approach elections, if it's not dealt with, then there could be possible retaliatory attacks. What's your reading of this? Hello, Prosperado. Hello, Prosperado. We don't seem to have him on the telephone line. When we do, we'll bring him. We'll bring the details to you. I want to stay with the issues surrounding security. Now, Jordan is just learning tonight that the police in the Volta region have arrested 3 people in connection with the murder of an assemblyman in Segakope. Now, the murder of Marcos Ajagli last Sunday triggered protests and roadblocks by youth there as they demanded improved security. We'll tell you about measures the assembly intends to roll out shortly. But first, the Volta Region Parliamentary Caucus are not happy with the police handling of the crime scene. They've offered an additional 15,000 cedis bounty for information leading to the arrest of the attackers who murdered the assembly member.
We've also met with the divisional commander. We have also proceeded to the crime scene to see for ourselves where the whole unfortunate barbaric murder took place. And we have indicated our reservations about even how the crime scene has been left unprotected. Evidence is being destroyed, and we don't think that the way the crime scene is being managed will help to unravel the mystery behind this murder. The caucus has conveyed to the divisional police commander, the family, and the DCE for Southern that we are presenting or making available 15,000 Ghana cedis to support the ransom.
I want to go live now to to Segakope, where my colleague Komla Dome has spent all day there investigating the issue himself and learning more about this. Komla, tell us more about the arrest we're learning of tonight.
Well, Evans, according to our sources within the Segakope police, 3 individuals were picked up earlier today, and they aged between 18 and 27. They have since been transferred from Segakope to the Volta regional capital, where they are being interrogated. We understand that they may be linked to a larger group of people who may be connected to a series of attacks and robberies in the community. And so police are interrogating them to find out who else may be connected to this crime and others in the community.
Well, you've also been interacting with the chairman of the District Security Council, the DCE, for the area. What has he been saying to you?
Evans, he mentions, for example, that there have been a rollout of a number of security measures, for example, because they've been holding series of meetings since the incident on Sunday. He speaks about, for example, mounting checkpoints along the highway. We know, Evans, that this particular highway in question is an international highway. It links Ghana to neighboring countries like Togo, Burkina Faso, Nigeria, etc., even Benin. So there, he mentions, for example, that they're going to mount random checkpoints along the highway, and this is to check vehicles and motorbikes, etc., that use the road, especially at night. So what will happen is whenever the vehicles get to these checkpoints, they're going to stop. Then security officials are going to search them thoroughly before they're allowed to go. Another thing he points out is that they're going to mount speed ramps at vantage points on the same highway. And he says that there have been cases where people have complained about robberies and then the attackers have sped on the highway with the booty. So he says to check that, they're going to mount random ramps along the highway also to ensure that people who use the road at night during the day will slow down and will allow the security officials to do their work and conduct snap checks.
Yeah, as I said, we have a series of meetings and there's some measures that we've put in place. One, the metal barrier that the police are using, always it is opened, whereby some cars can speed up and pass through the place. What we decided to do is to rebuild the metal barrier for it to be closed and the cars properly, or the motorbikes that passes through the place are checked thoroughly before opening up to them. And then the hawkers too, they are the places where the security personnel are. And then sometimes when the cars come up for checking, they always hawk around. We've tried many times to drive them away, but sometimes there's this kind of protest from the hawkers, and I think it's time we talk to them to understand that that is the security zone. They need to leave the place and then get back to the other side of the barrier. There's some renovations to be done at the place, so we have taken up that duty and we fill up the sand for them. We are into talks to them to get off the place for the security to have space to do their work. Also, when getting to the toll booths, cars sometimes overspeed and then drive away. We are going to put speed ramps to check if there is a tram somewhere and somebody is passing through. This will slow down their movement for the police to act quickly and get to them. Also, we don't have checkpoints. Sugakope is a tourist center and all eyes and Sugakope, and therefore there is the need for patrol teams to open up a checkpoint or mount checkpoints to check the entry and then the exit to the district.
I still have with me Kamala Dome, and that, by the way, is a DC for the area. Kamala, you also been speaking to relatives of the deceased. You're still coming to terms with the death and the nature of it all. What more are we learning from them?
Well, Evans, so the whole time I was at the home of the late assembly member, people kept coming in droves. Every 5 minutes, you find a horde of individuals sporting red and black coming around to see for themselves the ruins, what's left of, the home where the attack happened. They are distraught. They are basically shaking. One of the relatives I spoke to, for example, could not still come to terms with the incident. She said she's still traumatized. Anytime she goes to bed since Sunday night, she still sees graphic images of the young man who pointed a gun at her that dawn and asked her to rush back in while the attack was ongoing. She said she still sees such images play right before her eyes again, and it makes her feel very terrified that even where she lives, she's uncomfortable and she's unsafe. And that could also be the situation with all the other tenants who live in the same compound with the late assembly member. And Evans, you can imagine that those who even work closely with him along the main road, the main highway, for example, have also been unable to open their shops. The shop where the late assembly member owned and where he employed dozens of people remains locked as we speak. So dozens of young people whose livelihoods depended on the work they did with and for him at the moment are unable to go back to work because of the situation. They fear that their livelihoods are going to be cut short. So it's a ripple effect of, every individual, many individuals, I have to say, being affected by the death of the assembly member for the area.
Kamala, thank you very much. Stay safe in Segakope as you work this story for us. You're still listening to News 90 on Joy. On Joy 99.7 FM 0244340437 is the WhatsApp line. We're bringing you your views shortly here on the show. I have no knowledge of how Bitcoin works. Disregarded the news suggesting I endorse investing in Bitcoin. That's the view of the music legend Kojo Antwi, rubbishing an online publication attributed to Joy News, where host of Paul's, Gifty Andoapia, is said to have conducted an interview encouraging viewers to invest in Bitcoin. Now, this article titled Gifty Andoapia, This is Crazy. Kojo Antwi's financial interview could make Ghanaians rich. That's the title of that particular article. Is aggregated from a marketing fraud website, so you better ignore it. My colleague Gifty Andoapia gives an insight into the story on social media. We'll get into that shortly. The other individual mentioned in that particular story, music maestro Kojo Antwi, has also been speaking about his own experience. He's asking the public to disregard this fake news. We'll be getting the perspective of a cybercrime expert who join us shortly to expand on this particular matter shortly. Mr. Joseph Quay says the story is an opportunistic scam that the public should be wary of as far as it's concerned. Listen.
This is why I also call it an opportunistic scam. Yeah. Bitcoin, how it works, a lot of people don't understand it. They feel that it is shrouded. They're shrouded in a lot of mystery. Okay. So right now, people are only building a lot of scams and calling it Bitcoin. Okay. So they basically want to do the same robbing Peter to pay Paul business, but they will say that it's a Bitcoin business. At the end of the day, it boils down to bring some money, we'll double it for you. Yeah. And the reason why we are doubling it is because Bitcoin is profitable. But if you look down to the details, it has nothing to do with Bitcoin. Yeah. They just slap the Bitcoin name on it because it's easy to dupe people through Bitcoin. Yes, because they don't understand it. All they know is that they see on the news and one time Bitcoin's prices seem to be rocketing. So because of that, then they decide, okay, you know what, we are just going to build scams and call it Bitcoin related scam. Okay. People won't ask us questions. They don't want to. Even if you try to explain what is this Bitcoin and blockchain, what are you talking about, they don't want to know. So that is, I think, what they are doing here. Okay. Yes.
So that is the cybercrime expert Joseph Quay there on that particular story. And so pay attention to the title of that story. It's Gifty Andoapia. This is crazy. Kojo Antwi's financial interview could make Ghanaians rich. It's all a scam. They're using names of people in the media, of course. Kojo Antwi's name is very attractive. It has pulling power. And you read that headline and you think, well, if Kojo Antwi is endorsing it, then this must be good, and so let me put my money in there. And they somehow managed to clone a particular popular website. It makes you think it's, again, legitimate. Some of that website picked it up thinking it was legit. It's absolutely not. You probably have seen it on social media, particularly on Facebook. Please ignore, because if you follow that particular thread, you will be duped. And just consider that it's one of those things that people are using to, in essence, try and make money off you. So just pay attention to that particular disclaimer, as I've shared with you. Watch out for that particular story also. I'll bring you more on this shortly, but I'll quickly return to Parliament, where today it's been very exciting in the House, as the House debated a number of issues The Sanitation Minister, Cecilia Dapa, has told Parliament government is working to make Accra clean to avert the perennial flooding situation in the national capital. Remember, the rains are here finally. She says an inter-ministerial task force is working to provide the necessary resources to the sealed gutters. She says bins are also being provided and new landfill sites are being established to help make the city and country clean.
3 transfer stations located at Kukumlele, Achimota, and Teshi have been constructed to support collection and disposal of waste in the Gama area. Currently, the Gama area has landfill sites at home, Abika and Nsulia, 3 integrated recycling and compost plants at Ajin Kotobu, Olympic Mortuary Road, owned by Zoom Line with collaboration from Kolibu One from A&E. And one owned by the Rural Ventures. Majority of these facilities were provided by the private sector in collaboration with the ministry. Accra, I must say, is a beautiful city. We have beautiful people in this beautiful city and capital. If we talk about fields can be found in places where waste has been neglected and not collected. But generally, I can say that Accra is clean. Thank you, Mr.
Okay, so the rains are finally here. Questions are now being asked of the ministers responsible for making sure that one, the gutters are clean, the infrastructure is in place to ensure there isn't flooding this time around, the perennial flooding situation. So, well, the minister came. Were the MPs satisfied? My colleague Joseph Gakpo is with me. What are the other measures the minister says are being rolled out?
Additionally, sanitation broadly also has to do with things around toilet facilities and all. She says 416 institutional toilets have actually been constructed in 260 basic schools and second cycle institutions in the Accra area. She says that the Ministry of Works and Housing, which has the mandate to manage the perennial flooding, has actually come up with a comprehensive drainage construction plan, and they've earmarked the Malam Junction, the Kaneshi First Light, and the Gbawe area as where they are putting up some of the drains. And she says this has drastically helped reduce the usual flooding and its negative impact on various properties. And she went on to say that when it comes to dealing with the filth sanitation, they've established new transfer stations at the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission and the Adenta municipality. A new sanitary landfill facility has been put up at Ayidan in the South municipality. She says that there's been a capping of 2 major dam sites located at Ablojei in the Ga East Municipal Assembly, as well as Old Fadama in the Ablekuma area. She says community-based solid waste collection in low-income communities have been ongoing within the Odo Basin, and as well, she says there's been extension of condominial sewer networks to 1,000 households in the Accra area, as well as 5,000 household toilets have been provided for 40,000 beneficiaries. And additionally, she says that the ministry has launched a street litter bin program and deployed more than 20,000 litter bins nationwide, including here in the Accra municipality. And then the final 2 things that she spoke of as well, she says as part of renewed efforts to attain the Clean Ghana agenda, the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources has recently inaugurated an inter-ministerial task force on environmental sanitation to coordinate all the sanitation activities in various MMDAs. But the minority MPs in particular are not happy.
There's a tall list of things that the minister lists.
In fact, I missed out on this. She says that the ministry, in partnership with Universal Plastic Products and Recycling Limited, which is a subsidiary of the Jospon Group, has also launched a one household, one bin, one business, one bin program to facilitate the storage and collection of.
Yeah, I guess he asked the point I was coming to, which is that this is a tall list of things that the ministry is doing to deal with the flooding, etc., etc. However, the former Works and Housing Minister, Deputy Samson, he says he's not seen anything.
He thinks that all those details that the minister put out are not entirely representative of what exactly is happening on the ground.
Ghanaians living in Accra are better judges. I'm sure if the minister had made this pronouncement in, say, Makola, they would have beaten her. She herself knows that so far as sanitation matters are concerned, they have failed miserably. And it's not for me to talk about it. The evidence is clear. Our gutters are choked. 3 days ago when it rained, we all saw what happened in our gutters. So we don't want the minister to come and stand here to tell us that they are on course. If they are on course, people living in Accra are better judges.
She, for example, makes the point that in collaboration with the Ministry of Works and Housing, they are undertaking the construction of drainage at the Malam Junction, Kaneshi First Light Bawi, all to reduce flooding and its negative impact on various communities when it rains eventually.
This is a project we started. We gave the contract to dredge masters at a cost of $54 million. They came and then terminated the contract. They stopped the contractor. Last year when it rained and the Accra got flooded, then the Minister for Works and Housing quickly mobilized the contractor to site. They have not paid the contractor up to date. So nothing is going on.
So as we enter the rainy season, you have fears you may see the perennial flooding again. She says they are working to avoid that. And
if you move around, do you see the contractors on site? I'm here to see a contractor working in any of the gutters. I'm here to see any of them.
So you foresee the problem persisting?
Of course. We should embrace ourselves for more flooding this year, because the government has woefully failed the people of Ghana, for that matter, people living in Accra and Tama.
Let's say something. Hey, let's stay in Parliament, Joseph. Very interesting. You are holding your phone.
Right here in the studio.
Right in your studio.
You're working and being on the phone.
Well, if the majority leader had his way and this was Parliament and you're a member of Parliament, he says that will be banned. That became a controversial subject on the floor today.
So there was the delivery of the statement on what the House will be doing next week. And Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa asked the question, and when the majority leader was responding to Okudzeto-Ablakwa, he made an observation that Okudzeto-Ablakwa was on his phone and not exactly paying attention to his response. And this was what he said as a follow-up, that the use of mobile phones in the House while sitting is ongoing is uncalled for, and that the House is reviewing its standing orders, and that will be made illegal when the new document gets approved.
I believe the House must make a determination. And let me emphasize, the reason why we propose that in the next House, that once we accept and indeed adopt the meeting standing orders, no member will be allowed to bring a cell phone into the chamber. We need to demonstrate seriousness in this House. We need to. When the President of the Republic is talking, members are getting their votes. When the Minister responsible for Finance comes here, members are getting their votes. When questions are asked, ministers are providing answers, members are getting their votes. It doesn't tell a good story about us. Because let's be very honest with ourselves. Speaker, the Parliament of Ghana is not the only parliament in the world. The Parliament of Ghana is not the only parliament. And there are established parliaments in the world who do not allow members to come to Parliament themselves. That should be the order. Mr. Speaker, we shall apply this religiously once we adopt the new standing order.
Okay. Did the MPs agree?
Well, it depends on who you talk to. The MP from Poho, for example, agrees, Alexa Jekum, but Samson Ahi, who is the MP for Boedi, disagrees.
It's a suggestion, but it will remain his suggestion, because I don't believe that what he's talking about, members of Parliament will agree to him. He himself, on several occasions, he's been receiving calls and making calls when he's in the chamber. I think somebody should remind him that we are not school children. We are not children. And so some of these things, you should be very careful making some of these pronouncements. The fact that he's a majority leader does not mean that he's a headmaster somewhere and we are school children where he can dictate to us. I'm not sure his proposal will see the light of the day. I'm not sure members of Parliament distract proceedings of Parliament. If you look at the way when somebody is talking, we even heckle the person. And that the noise that comes with heckling. Can you compare that to, making calls in the chamber? Have you ever seen a member of Parliament receiving a call in the chamber and then speaking out of his voice. That's against heckling on the floor. I'm not sure what he's talking about is anything to be considered. And we will not accept that. We will resist that. He cannot impose his wishes on us.
He said the standing order, the changes that will be seen would factor that in.
And then it will be voted down. If they incorporate it in the new standing orders, it will be voted down. We are not school children.
I don't see anything wrong with these things. Please, it's a time for serious business, and if these things are, becoming a challenge, we must adhere to whatever will help all of us.
Okay, so what's going to happen now?
So the review of the standing orders is still happening for now. It's just a caution, and he's asking MPs to desist from holding onto their phones while they're in the chamber. But when that review is eventually done in the next parliament from next year, and those provisions get approved, MPs will not even be able to bring their phones into the chamber. Okay,
Joseph, thank you very much. In this particular profession, sometimes you see you've heard a lot about fake news until it really strikes home. I told you a story earlier about this scam that has been circulating on social media, and they are using the name very prominent names. My colleague Gifty's name has popped up in the code entry as well. There's a statement from management on this.
Well, Evans, what we have here says the Multimedia Group Limited condemns and disassociated itself from Joy News Channel and Anchor Gifty and appear from an online story in circulation about cryptocurrency Bitcoin trade. The anchor has never conducted a purported interview on the subject with anybody or any platform, and certainly never on the Joy News TV channel. It's a fraudulent enterprise by faceless criminals, which has been brought to the attention of the managers of Facebook, where it was actually being circulated. All are duly notified and advised accordingly, signed by the management of the Multimedia Group.
Well, Gift Andrea herself gave the following insight into that social media publication.
That story started circulating somewhere last month on especially on Facebook. Several people were sharing it. If you look at the story, it says graphiconline.com. So we called up Graphic. Graphic said they have not published anything like that. Ghana Web published the story from Graphic Online. Ghana Web has since retracted the story and apologized. But it looks like another website is sharing that news item, that fake news item, and people are sharing it on Facebook. In fact, I've received several messages from people on Facebook asking how they can join in the Bitcoin. We've heard that people have come to the office asking that we have conducted interviews on Bitcoin. They want to join, but this is a scam. Now, if you read the article, it talks about how people can invest in Bitcoin and make money within a few hours. That is not true. So what we suspect is that these people are using it to scam people into making an initial deposit of $250, after which they claim you will make profits. But it is a total scam. No such interview has gone on between me and Kojo Enchi. Nothing like that on our multi-TV or our Joy News platform has happened. So listeners should be careful not to be scammed.
Well, Kojo Enchi himself has been speaking about it.
It's been circulating on social media. My team, my management, we came out with a disclaimer because no such interview ever took place. And everyone knows that if I speak to anybody, it will be about entertainment. Yes, once in a while you drift off to talk about coronavirus and all that, but everything I do is centered on music. So there has never been an interview on Bitcoin. And that No, nothing like that happened. I believe there are some scammers who are trying to. So people should disregard that information circulating on social media, Facebook, and all those other platforms. It never happened. I have never granted any interview. I have never said anything about Bitcoin, and I don't know anything about Bitcoin. Yeah, I will not encourage that because it's just fake news.
And that's Kojo Enchi there. Still to come here on Newsnight, President Akufo-Addo presents fresh justification for the controversial construction of the National Cathedral, arguing God has in many instances saved the country from crisis.
Ghana has so far been spared. Civil war, famine, and epidemics. But I believe it is by the grace of God that we are being preserved and sustained.
We have details of a particular story. We'll also hear from Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams. That's your papa, right?
Yeah.
That's your papa. Yeah.
The General Overseer of the Christian Action.
Okay, George.
Springfield.
What do you have with the headlines?
Well, Evans, coming up in business, English and French-speaking bloc in ECOWAS clash on roadmap for introduction of the ECO, forcing the central bank governors and ministers to defer decision to the heads of state. And government now set to roll out the enhanced payment platform, the QR code, by the end of this month. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all your office essentials. And First National Bank. We are the bank that understands your business. First National Bank. How can we help you? And it has been 25 years of joy and updating the market players on all the relevant business and financial issues.
Joy 99.7 FM, radio for the discerning listener.
Welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, the deep divisions between the English and the French-speaking countries in ECOWAS could be one of the main reasons why the ECO would never be introduced. Now, this is because of the recent emergency meeting in Sierra Leone. The two blocs again failed to approve a roadmap for the introduction of the single currency. There's more in this Business Desk report.
Joy Business is learning that at the recent meeting, Sierra Leone and other African-speaking countries failed to back down on their plan to adopt the ECO without the approval from the English-speaking bloc. At that same meeting, the two blocs even failed to agree on a roadmap for the possible introduction of the ECO this year. Sources say it appears the two blocs are even failing to reach a common ground in working out modalities for introducing a single common currency, the ECO. From what we're gathering, it is clear that at a technical level, which comprises the various central bank governors and finance ministers, Joy Business can confidently say that the introduction of the ECO would not happen this year. The English-speaking bloc is therefore pushing for an emergency meeting of the heads of state in West Africa to decide on the way forward on the issue when it comes to introducing the single common currency, the ECO, for the sub-region.
And that is a Business Desk report. Now, government is now set to roll out the much talked about enhanced payment platform, that is the universal QR code, possibly on March 25. Chief Executive of the Ghana Interbank Payments and Settlement System, Archie Hesse, disclosed it to Joy Business at the inauguration of the National Payment and Advisory Committee today at the Bank of Ghana. The QR code payment is a contactless payment method where payment is performed by scanning a QR code from a mobile app. Archie Hesse has been giving us more details about this platform and how it could revolutionize the payment systems in the country.
Once you have made your purchase, all you have to do is to scan it. That QR code contains all the vital information needed by the merchant. So once you scanned it, you actually see the bank account of the merchant, etc. You type in the amount, you press go, and then your account will be debited and the merchant will be credited. What is special about ours? Because we have instant payment, and we also have mobile money interoperability. It means that irrespective of whether the merchant is with a mobile network or with a bank, you, the individual, can make payments from your mobile or from your bank account. So it makes it a truly universal payment platform. And also because it rides on the instant rails, merchants will receive their funds instantly, as opposed to the point of sale where they will receive their funds the following day.
Archie Hesse is the Chief Executive of the Ghana Interbank Payments and Settlement System. Now, all these initiatives are part of efforts by the Bank of Ghana and government to move towards a cashless society. The African Development Bank says its $600 million loan facility for cocoa board is in its final stages of approval. The facility is aimed at supporting the infrastructure projects being carried out by Cocoa Board for the sector. Speaking to Joy Business after a high delegation of the bank paid a visit to the management of Cocoa Board, Dean of Executives or Directors at AFDB, Bright Okudu, stated that the facility would hopefully reflect in the coffers of Central Bank in the coming months.
The facility of 600 million, yes, is one of those that, in terms of the engagement with the African Development Bank. There are processes you go through before the releases, and I believe that very, very shortly the processes will be completed on both sides, and whatever releases are going to be done will be done after that. When those processes are completed, the monies are released, and these processes, they depend on both sides. But I'm optimistic that it's not a long period of wait.
Dean of Executive Directors at the African Development Bank, Bride Okugu. Now, state institutions are being able to consciously engage and harness the talents of more women at the workplace to actually help deal with the persistent gender gaps. Managing Director of the Logistics Company of Ghana, ECG, Kwame Ajimambedu, revealed this to Joy Business at the 9th Cardinal Congress of the Power Queens Club of ECG. According to the Managing Director, this affirms the power distribution company's will by reviewing its gender and social inclusion law to give more opportunity to women.
It's very important that we embrace our women to the workforce, especially when it comes to government. Women play a vital role when it comes to development and performance. So in my personal view, I think we should embrace women. As we do right now, the GSI that we have in our company, we are trying to enhance the involvement of women just to let them know that they are part of the building of the company. So we encourage them in capacity building, learning other trades, upgrading themselves so that they can take key positions in the company. And to the government, I think similar things should happen to the government too.
And that's the Managing Director of the Electricity Company of Ghana, Kwame Ajimambedu. And even this Sunday is actually International Women's Day.
Oh, we love women.
Don't we love our women?
Oh, we do.
The great things that they do for us.
We don't exist without them.
The strength of a woman, actually.
So powerful, yeah.
Well, to the stock market, GCB lost 2 pesos to close at 1 Ghana cedis, 60 pesos. And it appears the good financial results of MTN is now impacting on its share price as it went up by a peso today to close at 68 pesos. And to all our lovely women out there, we wish them International Women's Day, a great one in advance on Sunday.
Yeah, man. George, thank you very much. I want to share a few of your messages on the stories we've done so far. And this one has no name, it says. I totally agree with the majority leader. Yes, MPs are not school children, but they should be reasonable. Sometimes you watch the news and see someone making a serious contribution on the floor whilst others are fidgeting with their phones. It's so annoying. Farouk says the majority leader should stop treating his colleague MPs like school children. Stopping them from using mobile phones in the house is an abuse of their rights. This one from Clenham from Akachi says all that the Minister of Sanitation is saying is insufficient. These measures are temporal. The rain is here. If the measures are enough or not, well, we shall all see. Josephine from Kumasi says, how on earth will you be working in an MP's constituency without the concept of the MP, if not that you want to come around and lie to Ghanaians? Is opposition enemy ruling? And this from K in Tantra Hill, Accra says, please tell the Fulanis to keep their cattle in suitable ranches, their own ranches. Civilization in South America and Europe, as we see in telenovelas, has taught better and peaceful ways of cattle rearing. Ya says, looking at what God has done for Ghana, having spared us of tribal wars, building a cathedral for God is just a drop of water in a mighty ocean. That's her view on the subject of the National Cathedral, and to that particular story we turn next. Appreciate the construction of that cathedral. That's according to President Akufo-Addo, by the way, and who argues God has many times saved the country from crisis. I guess agreeing with the view of Ya I just read to you. Speaking at the groundbreaking ceremony for the project, the president said a recent Supreme Court dismissal of a case challenging the constitutionality of the construction strengthens his argument. Maxwell Agbagba has more in this report.
The sound of a trumpet after the symbolic foundation stone was laid by President Akufo-Addo. Members of the diplomatic corps, the clergy, and notable state officials like the Chief of Staff, the Senior Minister, were all present. Vice President Mahmoud Baumia was also there with his wife. Speaking at the event, President Akufo-Addo stated the construction of the cathedral is a fulfillment of a promise he made to God prior to the 2016 election.
I made a pledge to Almighty God that He was gracious enough to grant my party, the New Patriotic Party, and I, victory in the 2016 election. After 2 unsuccessful attempts, I would help build a cathedral to His glory and honor. I am determined to redeem this pledge. The reasons for my decision to mobilize support for the construction of the National Cathedral still hold. Firstly, since gaining our freedom and independence from the British colonial power 63 years ago tomorrow, on 6th March 1957, Ghana has so far been spared civil war, famine, and epidemic. We're certainly no better than the other nations in our neighborhood who have been confronted with these challenges. But I believe it is by the grace of God that we are being preserved and sustained. And the construction of the cathedral will be an act of thanksgiving to the Almighty.
General Overseer of the Action Chapel International Ministry, Archbishop Duncan Williams, says projects like the National Cathedral are bound to face criticism and resistance, but that should not discourage the initiators.
It has everything to do with generations yet unborn. Will always create the kinds of controversy and the kinds of resistance and opposition we are facing, not just about the National Cathedral, but anything new, anything that has never been done before, anything that men cannot comprehend, appreciate, and understand, we always react to it. But let me say to the chairman and to all the members of the trustees, let us not allow the opposition, the controversy, the misrepresentation, the criticisms to in any way discourage us. Let our hands be strengthened and let us do this even if we are misrepresented and misunderstood for posterity. And let posterity determine and judge us whether we were right or wrong.
President of the Worldwide Miracle Outreach, Dr. Lawrence Tete, has been raising concerns about persons who criticize the demolition of structures on the land to be used for the construction of the cathedral.
If it comes to National Cathedral, it should be devoid of political colors. As a matter of fact, this monument for me is for God and not for NDC, not for MPP. Building the cathedral for God is most important. People have asked, why are we breaking buildings? In fact, if you can break the whole of Accra and use it to build a house for God, it's not about Nanado, it's not about John Mahama, it's not about anybody, it's about God.
So you think it wouldn't be a misplaced priority to even break all the buildings in Accra to put up a National Cathedral?
Oh, I will not mince my words. That let's break the whole of Ghana and build it into a church, and that will be a place of peace. As a matter of fact, if you want peace, cohesion, and unity, what will bring us together is the church.
What do you make of assertions out there that the resources that are going to be used to construct this cathedral, the money and everything, could be used to, there are a lot of schools under trees, there are a lot of communities without water, potable drinking water and all of that, hospitals without beds and all of that. What do you make of these suggestions?
Let me say this again. When it comes to National Cathedral and building for God, I will not politicize anything. The poor will always have. The people will always be in need. But as we build this thing, it will even be a safe haven for us to come together. It is in unity that lies power.
Well, so the National Cathedral, finally, ground has been broken and construction starts in earnest. Joining me in the studio is a man who would love to worship in that cathedral, Benedict. Ben, when was the last time you went to church?
Last Sunday.
Oh, you did?
Yes, I did.
Oh, no wonder the heavens opened and it rained and poured this week.
The thing is, I always go to church every Sunday.
Thank you very much for going to church. Please continue so we can have more rain. Our farmers need it up north. What do you have in the headlines?
Well, Asante Kotoko coach Maxwell Kennedy says there is no problem at the club following his decision to bench skipper and first choice goalkeeper Felix Sanan for Kwame Bar. Now, it's been weeks of debate on what could have caused this and how Felix is taking all these after his relegation to the bench. Now, Coach Konedu, who is preparing the team for their next league game, insists there is no problem at the club.
That issue, for me, I don't see it to be any big thing. I mean, we are all protocol materials, and whoever dons the jersey and we win, why not? Everybody is a protocol material, and we are working as a team. I believe everybody is okay There's no division in camp. That is the most important thing, no division in camp. And we keep talking to them for them to understand the situation we find ourselves in. Yeah, things were fragile a bit, but we managed to settle it. So we have to, build on that. We don't want anybody to feel neglected or feel left out and all that. We bring everybody on board to make them understand that the team we are all serving is more important than all of us.
All right, so that's Maxwell Kennedy, he's coach of Kumasi Asante Kotoko. We'll hear more from him on tomorrow's edition of the Joy Sports Center with George Adu Jr. Now, still on the Ghana Premier League, and Yara Champon, Henrik Lem, Edward Odum, Ignatius Osefusu, and Dr. Prosper Nate have made up the 5-man shortlist for the Premier League NASCO Coach of the Month for February award. Now, the quintet led their respective sides to impressive results in the 5 league matches played in the course of the month. Also, Benjamin Bernard Boateng, Victorian Adebayo of Intala, Salifu Ibrahim, Caleb Amankwa, and Sule Ibrahim are the players up for the monthly prize. I'm talking about the player of the month for February. Now, these players have been shortlisted from their involvement in the 5 matches played during this period. Man of the match awards, goals scored, assists, and clean sheets, all making them get nomination for the player of the month. That's for February. Well, it's been 123 years since Derby County beat Manchester United in the FA Cup, and tonight they meet. And you know what? It's going to be interesting about this game.
Wayne
Rooney will play for Derby County against his former team, Manchester United.
We'll see how it goes.
123 years since the last week.
This is at Old Trafford, correct?
Yes.
He's going to get a good welcome. Welcome home, Rooney.
No doubt.
Welcome home, Rooney. But he will definitely go back with the defeat. That's fine. It's just okay. Thank you, Benedict.
Thank you.
Well, in less than 24 hours, Ghana will be 63 years old, and for the second time in the history of the nation, the traditional parade of security personnel and school children will be held in Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi. Now, already there is an influx of visitors to Kumasi as the city prepares to host the event. We have more on that shortly, but at the Jubilee House, the visiting Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Keith Rowley, who is the special guest, is excited about going to Kumasi. He has been holding discussions with President Akufo-Addo at the Jubilee House.
Because it's being held in Kumasi. We've heard a lot about history. So people like me and my colleague here, we look forward to touching the people and the soil of Kumasi. But it was really an honor to be invited to be here with you at this time. And I am expecting that this milestone that we marked would manifest itself further in the kinds of contacts that we're trying to build. We do have a clear understanding of our cultural similarities and our desire to strengthen those bonds.
Well, President Akufo-Addo says the nation is prepared for the celebration. He also wants a deeper economic relationship with the Caribbean nation.
We are delighted by the manner in which the people from the Caribbean and the Americas responded to our year of invitation. I came to invite you to come. Loads of people came. I hope went away with a very good impression and memories of Ghana. But we appreciated very much the year of return and how it's worked. We've gone so far as now to talk about the beyond the return, how we can make concrete the relationship between us, not just on the cultural level, but also on the economic level as well. I think there are several things that are being worked out, diaspora bonds, all kinds of things that we're looking at to do to be able to. So your visit is really opportune. Kumasi is very excited about the possibility of seeing you there tomorrow. Tufo and all of them are very excited. This is only the second time in Ghana's history that the official celebrations are being held outside Accra.
Well, now let's go to Kumasi itself. The Baba Yara Sports Stadium will host a parade of security agencies, schools, and other groups. Excited residents have been enjoying, especially rehearsals by security agencies ahead of Friday's event. Love FM's Erastus Asari Donko has been monitoring events in Kumasi ahead of the Independence Day and now reports.
The euphoria of approaching Independence Day event is felt along the streets of Kumasi, decorated with beautiful Ghanaian flags flying to the breeze to the admiration of residents. The occasional helicopter flyovers add to the color and excitement. Most of the activities are happening at the Baba Yara Sports Stadium as rehearsals continue. Here, at the popular Heroes Park of the Baba Yara Stadium, cultural dancers from various regions across Ghana display their rich traditional acts inside the main arena of the stadium. A crowd gathers to catch a glimpse of the displays by security personnel and school children. The military drills, personnel being dropped on ropes from helicopters, capture the attention of the crowd. Scores of military, police, fire service, immigration, and other security personnel give a hint of what will happen on Friday as they march to mark the Independence Day. Heavy military equipment and armory are also on display.
Since I was born, this is the first time of witnessing such an event. So it's an opportunity for us, the young ones, to also have a feel of the independence celebration. So I think it's a nice opportunity given to Kumasi people.
I've seen the NADMOs, the ambulance, the police, and the soldiers doing their own thing. And it's a marvelous thing. It's good to see. This is the first time that this activity is coming to Kumasi. So it's a nice activity.
Did you see Independence?
I was a very small boy, actually.
How old were you?
About 4 or 5, but I saw it. Time I was in the village. You know, in the village you don't see any activity. But I've lived in Accra throughout and watched. This time I've come to the stadium. Yeah, and I like it.
So this is a simulation of what to expect on Independence Day, Cease March. Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asari Donko, Baba Yara Sports Stadium, Kumasi.
All roads will lead to the stadium in Kumasi tomorrow morning. If you can't make it to Kumasi, you can watch it on the Joy News channel. It's live on the Joy News channel. You make a date then. My name is Evans Mensah. Happy Independence Day, people. Enjoy it.